Hi everybody, I'm Luke Hector from the Broken Meeple. If you like what you see, please remember you can thumb up the video, subscribe to the channel or the Patreon, but most of all, get your comments down below and let me know your thoughts about Radlands or any of the other two-player games I've talked about recently. We'll get on with it just a second. First, quick word from the sponsor. As a fellow gamer, you'll understand this is unacceptable. The solution? Head down to my new sponsor, Kiender.co.uk. Kiender stocks many of the hot new releases as well as some old hidden gems. Free delivery on orders over £30, further discounts on bulk purchases, and even 5% of your spending refunded back to you as points to be used for further discounts down the line. If you use the referral link in the description below and sign up for a new account, you'll get 5% discount on your first order over £60. So let's make gaps in your collection a thing of the past. Get down to Kiender and start saving today. Thank you for listening and enjoy the rest of the video.
Get on with it.
And to reiterate from the other two videos I've done recently, if you like the look of this so fluffy fizz cake or the little Yoda that I've done, check out the description below and look up the email from my friend Deborah Wallace, who works at Dice Portsmouth every now and again. She does these great little crafting ideas for things like the Marvel Universe, Harry Potter, Star Wars, you know, other little fantastical things like Dark Crystal for this thing. By all means, check out the Netflix series. Seriously, why did that get cancelled? I digress. Get back to the plot. But yeah, check out the description, drop her a line and see what she can make for you. Talent should not be ignored. So, continuing my trend of two-player games that I've done recently, I had 3 games kindly sponsored to me from Kiender, and this is the third of 3 that I've got. This is Radlands. This one has been getting a decent amount of buzz, actually, because the other two I did, Great Plains and Sobek, barely anybody was even talking about, really. But this one, on the other hand, if you ask people what their thoughts are on this, there's just nothing but praise. I don't hear a lot of bad stuff. And I looked at it and I thought, nice small box, £20, not too expensive. But I looked at this and I thought, 2-player only, this is going to be hard to get to the table, 20 to 40 minutes, not too bad. But the main thing that caught my eye was the artwork. The artwork on this game we'll get onto later, but yeah, it's a sight to behold. So what is Radlands? It is a 2-player dueling card game. So the idea is that each of you has 3 camps taken at the start of the game at random, and you basically draw 6, choose 3, and these are what you are defending. Your objective is to take out the opponent's camps. Each one has a special abilities, like something it can do. It also dictates how many cards you draw at the start of the game. So there's a little thought process there. But you have your 3 camps. You then have the deck of all these different cards, of which it's double-sided effectively, because you have events and characters on one side, and then you have the generic punk, which is kind of like a throwaway nondescript character that you can get depending on card effects. But you'll have a few cards in your hand, and you have free water in order to spend to do various actions. The actions and playing cards and doing abilities all cost water to some degree. And essentially what you have is you have 3 columns in front of you that can hold a max of 2 characters. But then you also have like a kind of ticking time bomb thing at the side, where if you have an event, then it starts at whatever level it does. But you've got 3, 2, 1, boom, event goes off, and it's kind of like a timer that reflects every round. So you've got these going on as well as playing characters to defend your base. You use your character abilities to try and inflict damage on the opponent's characters, knock them out, get them out of the way of their bases, then use other effects to actually hit the bases directly, so they have to effectively tap them, as you want to use Magic the Gathering terminology, and eventually destroy them, get them out of the game, knock out the 3 camps, and you're done. But you've got to manipulate your free water, which is tight, to say the least. I mean, you certainly don't have a lot to spend on each turn. You've got a water silo card, which can act as a kind of throwaway, I've got 1 spare water. Well, let me take this, and then in a future round I'll have 4 water instead of 3, and it's quite useful to take this every now and again. You've also got 1 event between you two, which is a Raiders card, which is kind of like an easy way to damage the opponent's camps. Each of you has it, but you have to use effects in order to get it into play and then move it forward down the event chain. So it's kind of like a constant thing that keeps the game moving forward just in case there's a stalemate elsewhere. Well, firstly, why don't we talk about the obvious thing here, production quality. This is a Roxley game, and if you know Roxley games lately, they do a pretty good job when it comes to production quality. I'm not the biggest fan of Brass. I mean, I gave it enough credit to give it a 6 out of 10 originally. It's probably a 4 out of 10 for me now. You motherfucker! But the Iron Clay chips are in my Ark Nova game, and the Brass, as much as I'm not a fan of the game, its production quality and artwork is stellar. I mean, how do you make a game about a grisly looking period actually look beautiful on the table? You get Roxley to do it. This is no exception. This is a beautiful production for 20 odd pound. I mean, you've got a small box that houses all the cards in there, although slight caveat with that in a minute, and it's also got very chunky cardboard tokens for the water, but main thing is you've got linen finish like cards, so even if you don't sleeve these will actually keep in pretty good nick, but the artwork is gorgeous. This kind of looks like a cross of, kind of like a love child of the Fallout series and Borderlands.
You shoot at everything you film! For a lot of people hiring camera crews, that is a deal breaker, but not for me!
And with a little bit of Mad Max thrown in. So I like to compare it to Borderlands 2, Borderlands 3 a bit more, the PC games, which I've enjoyed. But, you know, use whatever comparison you like. And certainly, thematic-wise, the theme fits very well. And people are going to be making quote references a lot.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Even the back of the card looks gorgeous with this little punk guy on it. But the artwork on this is just beautiful. You'll be staring at these on your turn while somebody else is going, "Are you done yet?" And it's like, oh, sorry, my turn. I'll play you and I'll get this in the event chain. You can't help but be mesmerized by how good this stuff looks. I can imagine a full-fledged board game with this kind of artwork would be a massive hit. Something like Wasteland Delivery Express, but with this kind of artwork and a bit shorter. Get on that, Roxley. That'd be amazing. But yeah, really good artwork, great production quality. Now, you can get a deluxe version of this, and I'm a little bit hesitant about that because you're already paying something like about £20 for this, okay? Which is a cool, small, compact box. I mean, I love the fact that this is very small and travel-worthy. But there's a couple of things. Firstly, as much as this is a good travel box, I don't think you can sleeve the cards because you've got the cradles for the cards, but even if you took this cardboard bit out, if you sleeve all these cards, I don't think you'll fit them in this box. I mean, I didn't sleeve every single card to find out. I sleeved a bunch of them and shoved them in the box and realized, oh god, yeah, this isn't really going to work. And a lot of people on Board Game Geek have said the same thing, that if you sleeve the cards, they won't fit in this box, which is a bit of an annoyance, but the card quality is pretty good, that I'm not worried about ripping these apart. They're white bordered. Oh, actually saying that, the camps are black bordered. I would have thought maybe the camps should have been white bordered as well, just in case of scuffs. But the card quality is decent enough that I don't think the frequent plays are going to scuff them up too much. But the other thing is the deluxe version comes with a couple of play mats and a much bigger box. Except that bigger box basically has the play mats, some slightly better tokens, and this box in it, so that you can take it out and take it away if you don't want the playmats. But I wouldn't want the big box taking up space on my shelf when this game is really best suited to being in this little compact form. And as much as the playmats are, I love playmats, I love neoprene, I don't like the fact that they're only available in a deluxe set. I would have liked it if they just released it as part of a normal set and just made it a slightly smaller box and made it a little bit more expensive maybe, because one annoyance that you do have when you're learning to play this game is the fact that you've got to have the free 4 columns here. 3 camps with their columns, 2 in front, then you've got the event one to the side. It's easy on the playmat because it's already laid out for you. When you've got to visualize it in front of you, that's a little bit of a pain. You get over it eventually, but there have been frequent times where like something's been misaligned or somebody's asked like, oh, wait a minute, oh, sorry, that's free, space them out, tap a card, oh wait, now I've got to separate these a little bit further because obviously you've got tapped cards. It's a little bit of a pain that they kind of force the fact that if you want an easier time playing it, you've got to get a playmat. Not a fan of that as a marketing strategy.
Merchandising.
Eventually you will get used to having the visual awareness on the table, but just to say that there is a little bit of a warning. You don't need the deluxe version by any means, but I wouldn't say no to those playmats every now and again just for a little bit of ease of play. Speaking of ease of play though, the rules to this are fine, but there's a lot of keywords. There's a lot of differentiating cards, like there's a camp, a person, a punk, an event, and then you've got the card traits, which are very sort of, they're literally just in green little open and closed brackets. I wish that maybe they were like color coded, like shaded, rather than just having a little like square bracket. That just seems a little bit weird. But then on top of that, you've then got destroy, damage, injure, restore, draw, gain punk, extra water, raid.
Oh no, I've gone cross-eyed.
And that's before you even get into the actions of play a card, draw a card, junk card, take water silos. Oh yeah, I forgot, yeah. You can even junk characters for you know, a little bonus if you don't like them in your hand. I forgot to mention that in the overview, but there's quite an amount going on in this game. This is not a light game by any means. I don't think this quite fits advanced category, although it's not far off, but it's definitely at least a mid-weight level game. There's quite a bit going on and a lot of tactical decisions that you need to make, but you're going to need a game or two to really get used to this. You know, there's a lot of stuff to learn, and yes, you do have a couple of reference cards nearby, but, you know, the turn sequence is the easy part to learn. But you then have to know, right, what constitutes an unprotected card? What constitutes a ready card? In what situations is it ready and what isn't? And then you've got all the effects anyway. So you will find it a little bit of a struggle to get used to initially. I don't recommend this as a gateway game or like for newer gamers. I think you want to be playing this with gamers ideally. But yeah, I found that it took me a couple of games to really sort of get, right, okay, that's how that works, that's how that works, that's how that works. There wasn't a huge amount of FAQ, but you know, you kind of have to sort of read in and go, right, that does that, that does that. And the rulebook is decent. I mean, it's got picture diagrams of what you're looking at card-wise. It's got a lot of A, B, C, D notation in terms of pointing out what things are referring to, although it litters the place quite a bit with those. And the rulebook is not particularly big. I mean, it fits in the box fine. Some of these pages are just the odd FAQ and advertising bump and, you know, little bits of artwork and stuff. So there's not a huge amount to read, but I recommend just taking your time with your first couple of games just so that you can get used to it. Now, talking about production and ease of play aside, duration 20 to 40 minutes, 20 to 60 I would say. You're probably going to want that 60-minute mark for your first couple of games while you're getting used to the rules. 20 minutes is optimistic. I mean, you need two players who know exactly what they're doing, are playing at lightning speed, and just happen to, one overwhelms the opponent. Honestly, I don't think 20 minutes is really achievable for the majority of times you play this game. You're looking at 30, I think 45 minutes is a more typical time frame for this game, particularly if you're taking your time to think about turns. Shouldn't take you an hour apart from your learning games, so yeah, I'm saying 40 minutes. The upper echelon of the time frame is more for this. I certainly wouldn't bring this out as a filler. You know, like, oh, guaranteed to finish in 30 minutes. Probably not. But it's not too long a game, and that's a good thing. So, is the game actually fun to play? Yes, very. I gotta admit, this was really good fun. Not perfect though, there are some blemishes. First off, let me talk about my favorite aspect here, these camps. This is a big deck of camps. Look at this. There's loads in here. There's like 30 odd cards, 35, 40 odd camps, and you draw 6 each and choose 3 at the start of the game. That's it. And they're all unique, with unique effects. Unique card drawers, unique abilities that feel very different. This is brilliant because it customizes your strategy and your style of play from the get-go. I mean, I've got 3 down here, so what can I do? Use the ability of damaged people. Okay, cool, that's normally something you can't do, but then you got to destroy it. Okay, so it's a one-off use. But then you've got, you know, if this card isn't damaged, you can flip over a destroyed camp and destroy this card. So you can kind of exchange this for another camp that got destroyed, and this other one allows me to get the raiding event out easier. So that's one example of 3 that I literally just picked out at random. But then, you know, you can have a couple of them that restore cards a lot easier. There's one in here which my friend had, which was quite funny, which basically is a bit like the oh, what's it called? Mortal Engines movie, where basically, here we go, the Juggernaut. Move this card forward 1 space, people go behind. On its 3rd move, return it to the starting position, and then the opponent destroys the camp. It's basically a Juggernaut, like Mortal Engine city thing that moves forward, creeps along, destroys a camp, and then comes back. But it's obviously a bit more unprotected because it constantly pushes people behind it. But having that fundamentally changes your game plan compared to some of these other camps. The fact that you get to choose at the start is brilliant. You could even introduce a drafting rule if you really want, but I don't think it's absolutely necessary. I'm not a fan of the starting ones they recommend in the book though. It tells you to pick 3 specific ones for the 2 players, and I don't think they're balanced. I found that one particular set you know, had a lot more opportunities to screw over the opponent than the other set did, because the other one kind of has like a Hail Mary self-destruct card, whereas the other one just consistently puts out damage. I'd rather you just simply picked out 3 camps, really. I mean, honestly, they're not that particularly complex, and yes, you may not necessarily know which camps you want, but I'd just say go with the flow. If you're going to play a game like this, just pick whichever 3 camps you like and have fun with it. But yeah, love this. Love the variety this offers. Brilliant. I want more games to have this. In terms of the actual playing of the game, you know, there's a few duplicates with the cards, but as you're going through, you will see different cards come out in each game, and they've all got various abilities, and they enable different strategies that you can do. This Doomsayer in front of me here, for example, every time you play him, the opponent moves their events back, so it lengthens the timer, but also can damage the opponent's bases if the opponent has events in play. So in one game, I had 1 or 2 of these out, and the opponent was constantly trying to send their raider after me, and I was like, right, well, play this, push it back. Your effect just bounced a couple of my guys back. Well, okay, I'll bounce the Doomsayer back, and now I'll play him, and now your raider moves back. And while your raider is stuck trying to get to me, I'm damaging your camps. It was a totally different playstyle to another game where I had some characters that basically just outright kept shooting the opponent's characters. The gunner, I want to strangle the gunner. Anytime my opponent gets the gunner, I hate him because he's constantly machine gunning my characters, and you can't use abilities on characters when they're machine gunned. It's annoying. I do wish that maybe there was a few more events. There's some cool ones in here, but I wish there was maybe a bit more variety in the events. There's certainly a variety of characters, but there doesn't seem to be that many events that happen. Maybe we would have just liked a few more of those, but that's a small little gripe. The main gripe I have is that the options on your turn sometimes feel a little limited, because yes, you've got these characters to play and every choice you have is meaningful. Do I protect this camp, protect this one? Do I restore this person? Where do I spend my water? Do I grab the silo for next turn? There's a lot of cool decisions to make. If only you had more cards to actually do things with. You can very easily in these games just end up top decking every turn. Like, I've started off with 2 or 3 characters. Right, well, there we go. There's an event. There's a character. There's a character. Next turn. Next turn. Junk it. Get an effect. Next turn. And it's very difficult to draw cards in this game. Yeah, you can spend 2 water and draw a card as an action, but that's 2 out of your 3 water to draw a single card that might not be any good for you. That's too much of a gamble and too much water to spend. If you could spend 1 water to draw a card, I think that would be better. Now, some of the junk effects allow you to draw a card, but all that's basically doing is saying, well, I'll junk the card that I had just because I don't feel I'll use it, and then draw another card which may or may not be useful as well. I would have liked more ways to draw cards. Give me more options. Give me like 2 or 3 cards at the start of my turn all the time, so that I can sort of go, right, well, I'm going to play this one, I'm going to junk that one. Maybe there's a restriction on how many characters you can play in a turn, and then it forces you to junk the others. But junking a card, you can't ignore it, because there are some useful bonuses that you're going to want by junking cards, but it hurts to junk a card because you're really limited on how many cards you have, period. Now, I guess they've done that so you don't go through this deck entirely in one game, although it says in the rulebook that the game will also end if you go through this deck twice. How is that even remotely possible? Look, some of them are on the table, and this is how big the deck is. In no way, shape, or form are you going through this deck twice. It's not happening. I mean, the game would have to be going on for like 2 hours for you to do that. So I don't get what the point of that timer was, but yeah. I mean, we're done before half of this deck is even done, let alone 2 times over. God blimey. So Radlands has impressed me. The buzz I've been hearing is true to the most extent. I don't hear many people talk about the card draw problem. I'm interested in to hear what you say about that. But they do mention the differences between the retail and deluxe box, and I do find that a bit of an annoyance. But I can't really downrate the game too much because of a slightly iffy marketing tactic with the playmats and that. So I've got to rate the game based on its merits alone, and for that I was debating between 8 and 9, but I think it deserves to go up to a 9 out of 10. And seal of excellence, right? Seal of distinction. Sorry, I'm getting mixed up. But yeah, it's definitely a solid game. I mean, it looks gorgeous, it's well produced, it's not too difficult to learn for gamers, although I wouldn't recommend it for anybody lower. It's 2-player only, there is no solo mode unfortunately, but that's not a big deal. I just think for £20 around that price mark, you're getting a really good package deal, and I say, I can't talk enough praise about the camps. The camps mechanic, choosing what abilities you want, how many cards you want to draw at the start. That is just such a cool idea, and I want to see this in more 2-player dueling games, please. You know, maybe just give me more camps if you want to expand it or something, but yeah, that is really cool. So yeah, Radlands is a solid 2-player game that you definitely want to check out. Just maybe stick to the retail version and just get used to how the cards come out. That would certainly save you some money, not to mention some shelf space. So That's it for me on this episode of The Broken Meeple. If you like what you see, please remember to thumb up the video, consider subscribing to the channel or the Patreon, but most of all, get your comments down below. Have you had some good times at Radlands? What do you think about the retail versus deluxe argument? Do you agree with the card drawing problem that I have with it? Or has that not been an issue for you? And if so, why not? So, and do you even play some of the games that this is based on, like the Borderlands games or stuff like that? Whatever, get your comments down below. So that's it for me on this episode of The Broken Meeple. If you like what you see, please remember you can thumb up the video, subscribe to the channel or the Patreon, but most of all, get your comments down below about this game. What do you think of the game in general? Is it a hit for you? What do you think about the whole retail box versus deluxe box argument? Do you think the playmats are essential or can you live without them? But also, what about that card drawing problem that I highlighted? Is that a problem for you or did you not have such a big issue? But other than that, let me know just in general. If you want to check out more content on The Broken Meeple about two-player games, then I will be doing top 10 lists soon, but for now, you can check out the reviews I did for Sobek and Great Plains, two other great two-player games that you should be checking out. Until next time, remember as always, regardless of how lovely a day it is, it's still only a game. Bye for now.